Happy Monday and welcome back to The Average Fisherman, everybody. So, today's episode, it's rare for a Monday for me to make a video, was brought on by a situation I was just involved in at my local Bass Pro Shop. So, on Mondays, since I tend not to go fishing because I still feel kind of rough from working all weekend, I usually go get my truck cleaned and then I go to the Bass Pro Shop and go pick up a few things for the week and replenish stuff that I used up the previous week fishing. So this week, the weather's not going to be the greatest, but I'm kind of up in the air. I'm debating whether I want to go back down to the Grand Isle area and go catch speckled trout, or do I want to take the kayak out and go chase some bluegills and possibly some zocolay and stuff like that. So if you guys have an opinion, leave it down in the comments, and that'll possibly sway me in one direction or the other. Or I could go make a squirrel hunt. So, there's a lot of stuff on the table in the fall. That's why I love the fall. Anyway, so the topic of the video was brought upon by a situation where I was in the shop and browsing around, and a guy just kind of like walks in. He's an older guy. I say that, but he was about my age, late 40s, early 50s, older guy, right? I have no illusions. And he basically walks up to one of the younger employees and says, hey man, I'm looking to get a fishing rod and reel. And the guy goes, okay, well, what are you looking to catch? And he says the thing that everybody here says, I want to catch some bass, some zocolay, and some bluegills. So the guy starts showing him around the different rods and reels and stuff like that. And one of the ones he shows him and says, I really think you should get this one because you can do pretty much everything you want to do with this rod and reel. And he shows him one of these guys, the Microlite Elites. It's a graphite composite. It's a decent rod and reel if you want something that you can just put in the back of the car and go fishing somewhere. The problem is, though, that when you go to Bass Pro, you would think that you would get like expert advice, right? And that's often not the case. And I found that to be true many times. I've witnessed conversations like this. So a lot of the employees that work at this particular Bass Pro, because it's not far from my house, they know who I am, okay? They're subscribed to my channel. So, hey guys, if you're hearing this, you guys will know who I'm talking about in this video. And yeah, much respect to the ones that actually know what they're doing. But in this case, it was one of the younger guys, and he was just giving like really bad advice left and right. So that's the point of this video. You guys got to be careful about where and who you're getting advice from when you're asking specific fishing questions. So this guy was obviously very brand new to fishing, and nothing against those people because that's my demographic here on this channel, right? The whole point of my channel is to take people who are not very good at fishing or who are brand new to fishing and get them introduced into the sport in an effective way that spends the least amount of money but yet gets them the highest return, as in they catch more fish and have more fun for the amount of money that they spend. You don't have to spend truckloads of money to go out and be an effective fisherman and have a lot of fun, but you do need the right equipment. So after I was kind of browsing around and they're having this conversation like 10 feet away from me, the employee finally asked the question that really matters, which is, well, where are you fishing? Okay. Are you fishing in a boat? You fishing from the bank? And the guy says, well, I'm fishing mostly ponds. So immediately I knew, okay, he's one of the people that lives local in the area, and he goes around to like the various Brett ponds and fishes for the stocked fish that they stock in these ponds. So what you have in these ponds is a mix of stocked small channel catfish that are about this big, the occasional really small bass that averages about 1 pound, if that much, 3/4 to 1.25 pounds or so, and really tiny bluegills. That because I've said so on this channel before, the problem with those kind of ponds is you get the bucket brigade that goes out there and they will keep literally anything they catch, even if it's minnow size. So the fish there tend to be on the smaller side, but that's what he wants to do. And he told him, I have a buddy who has a boat though, so I'd like to be able to go fish with him every now and again, and I don't want to spend like $300 on a rod and reel combination or something to do like that because mostly I'm going to be fishing these ponds. So I'm standing there and I'm just like, oh my God, this guy wants the impossible. It's always the impossible, right? And I've made several videos about that on this channel. How can you get one rod and reel to do everything? Yes. But can you get one that will do all of those things even marginally well? No, you're not going to. Okay, that's just the fact. If it was so easy to go out and get one rod and one reel that did everything that you want it to do and does it well, I would not have all these rods behind me. Okay, it's not possible. Okay, but you can get combinations that will do most of those things fairly well. Okay, so right about this time, one of the older gentlemen that works at the store, and he knows me, he's a subscriber to the channel, so thumbs up, you'll know what I'm talking about in a second, walks over and starts realizing the conversation that's happening between this customer and this employee, okay, the younger guy. And he sees me standing there, and I'm kind of like, you know, thumbs up him, like, hey, how you doing, that kind of stuff. So he talks to him for a few more minutes, and the older guy looks over and goes, what you need to do is ask that guy. And he points to me. And I was like, what? And he goes, that's the guy you need to be asking about what rod and reel you should get. He owns the YouTube channel, and he does nothing but help new people get into fishing. And the guy kind of looks at me, and I was like, well, yeah. So the younger employee kind of walks away. The older guy comes over to me. The customer comes over to me and says, hey, dude, you heard that whole conversation? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, so what about that rod and reel that he showed me? I was like, no, And he said, well, what do you suggest that I get? So I walked him over, and the one that I suggested to him was, now remember, these Microlight Elites are $80, the combinations. It's the rod and reel. I walked him over to the Fluger section and handed him a Fluger Try-On combination in medium fast, okay? Because I told him, you have to realize what you're asking here, though, okay? You have to realize that you're talking about both trying to catch really small fish and really good hard fighting fish on the same combination. And I did warn him and tell him, you're really not going to be able to do that with one rod and one reel, man. You're not going to be able to do it. Not well, anyway. Can you do it? Yes, but you're going to be in here in 2 months looking for another rod and reel anyway. But he was really adamant that he just wanted one. So I picked out a Fluger Try-On combination for him. I bragged about them on this channel before for $75. They're hard to beat. And I got it medium and fast action because you need the medium because he's going to be catching these stock channel catfish out of these ponds, but you can't go medium heavy because then the sensitivity would be lacking and you won't have as much fun catching smaller bass and these bluegills. So, the problem with big box stores is that the advice that you're going to get is totally dependent on the person that you're asking. And oftentimes these people are just there because they need a job. I'm just going to be honest with you. They're not very knowledgeable about the subject matter, or in some circumstances, say the younger guy's more of a deer hunter, right? But he comes into work that day and a manager tells him, hey, we need somebody to fill in the fishing section, so we're going to put you there right now. Now, in his head, he's like, hey, I started working here because I know a lot about deer hunting. So I prefer to work in the hunting section upstairs where there's camo, there's the deer equipment, there's all that kind of stuff that I can answer questions about really easily because that's what I do. And the manager sticks him in the fishing section where he's like, I'm not really a fisherman. So he's given the best advice that he can, but it's not really his fault because he's out of his element, okay? And that happens too in a lot of these retail stores. But the truth of the matter is, if you're looking to get advice about fishing, if you're coming to YouTube, stop going to sponsor channels, okay? I've said that probably a dozen times on this show, okay? Stop going to sponsored channels and expecting to get truthful, honest answers. You're not going to get it. These channels are getting paid to say certain things about certain companies. The next month, their advice is going to change because, this company didn't pay them this month. This company offered them to pay them this month, and now that's the best thing, okay? So stop getting your money. Stop getting your advice on where you're going to spend your hard-earned money from other people who are taking money from companies to promote their products. It's very, very simple, guys. You need to be taking advice from channels like this where, I'm never going to be sponsored and I will never take a dime from anyone else in order to promote a product. If it's not something that I genuinely think is good, that I've used myself, you're not going to see me promoting it or talking about it because I spend my own money, the money that I make from working in the medical field on all of this equipment, and then I will tell you the truth about whether, hey man, this rod and reel represents 4 hours of work for me in the emergency room, busting my ass, and I had to work for 4 fucking hours in order to afford this combination. Is it worth it or not? Okay, and that's why I say this channel is probably one of the most honest fishing channels on YouTube, because that's how I view things here. I give advice based upon the fact, is the juice worth the squeeze? Did I have to kill myself in the ER for 2 hours to earn this combination, enough money to buy this combination? And when I look at it that way, is it worth it or not? Okay, and I pass the information along to you guys. So stop getting information from people who are paid to sell you ads, basically. And two, make sure the person that you're actually asking and getting your information from knows what they're talking about, okay? There's a lot of fake fishing channels on YouTube lately, and it's like the new thing on YouTube. I made a video making fun of this not that long ago. The newest fad is women on YouTube that will dress up in skimpy clothes and then give shitty, dumb advice when it comes to fishing. But hey, they're showing their titties on a video, and they're showing their ass on video, and people are just flocking to these fucking channels and taking advice from this person who has obviously never fished before in their life, because, well, she's showing her tits to everybody, so she must know what she's talking about. No, guys, no. If you want actual advice, take it from people who actually know what they're talking about, like me. Now, I'm not saying I'm the only person. There's lots of other channels that are really good, but here you are, right? So, in the end, he ended up walking away with about $110 worth of stuff, and he's going to be more than capable of going out this afternoon to any one of those ponds that I mentioned and go and have a good time. Fluger Tryon combo, 8-pound. They don't have the Hercules braid there, but I did suggest to him that he get some color-free or color fade-free braid as soon as he could. A package of 8-pound 4-strand braid, got him some hooks, got him some bait, got him a couple packs of lures, some Bobby Garlands and some beetle spins, and told him to go knock himself out, and he's going to have a good day. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys. The biggest problem I've had with going to Bass Pro is that I've often gotten really bad advice there. And it just, make sure you're asking the right person when you're there, guys. Preferably somebody who's older. I'm just going to be blunt with you, because those are the guys that work there because they want to be there, not just because they need to collect a paycheck. And most of the time, they actually know what they're talking about, okay? So, hope you guys take this to heart. Sorry to get on the soapbox a little bit much about the other YouTube channels or the sponsored channels or the YouTube algorithm trend of, like 18 and 19-year-old girls in bikinis who have never fished before in their life, giving fishing advice for views and clout and stuff. Just, if you want real fishing advice, you have to come to places like this. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm an actual fisherman. There's no fluff in the channel. I'm not going to be showing you guys videos of my wife wearing a bikini just for clicks, because I have a little more dignity than that, and I actually respect my wife. And things like that. So if you want real advice, you have to find the channels like this that give out good, solid advice. So anyway, happy Monday. Leave a comment whether you want to see me in the kayak, you want to see some more inshore saltwater fishing. I'll get it done for you guys. Tight lines.